fever. It's catching fire with everyone. Indian fever. You can be part of fun. You're the winner at every game. That's where the excitement begins. So catch Indian fever. Be a believer with the Cleveland Indians.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the the January 3rd, 2019 Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, publisher, and sports editor of the Lake County Sentinel, Tim Shirer, and we'll be with you for a half hour. We'll spend 15 minutes discussing politics or sports, and then we'll spend the last 15 minutes discussing the news of the day and politics. So we'll start with a couple scheduling things. The Cavs play tomorrow night at home. They will, it is Jetty Osman. I guess it's a cup. They'll be giving away the Jetty Osman Cup tomorrow night. The game's at 7:30. It's against the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are 18-20, and the Cavs are 8-30, worst record in the NBA. They will be in action tomorrow night at the Q. It'll be the Jazz's only appearance at the Q this year. As you know, Western Conference, the Cavs are an Eastern Conference team. The West comes here once, and the Eastern Conference teams go there to their place once. Cavs lost last night to the Heat. It was not close. They lost by 25. It was ugly. Let's hope the effort and the game tomorrow is better. We will, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, it's a better result. I mean, they had a horrible second quarter, and it just didn't work out well for for the Cavs last night, as it hasn't 30 times on the season, having only 8 wins in 38 games. The Cavs, there have been rumors about the Cavs trading Kevin Love, and that is very interesting at this point. And we're going to go into that further in a couple minutes after we get the scheduling stuff out of the way. The Monsters are off until Saturday. That's when they will be at home against the Utica Comets at 1 o'clock at the Q. So it's a quick turnaround for the staff at the Q. They take the basketball court up and uncover the ice, and the Monsters will host the Utica Comets. Once again, the Monsters are tied for second place. They have 39 points. Utica is in third place with 37 points. That contest will be at 1 o'clock. The Mentor Icebreakers are in action tomorrow night in Watertown. They will be taking on the Watertown. They'll be taking on Watertown. They are the Watertown Wolves. They'll be taking them on. The Monsters, the Icebreakers are 12 Watertown is 12-8 and has 40 points. The Icebreakers are 6-18 and only have 15 points 18 points in the Franklin Hockey League. I'm sorry. not just misreading some stuff. But so that's pretty much that's it for the upcoming scheduling. I see that the final Hall of Fame list has come out, the list of finalists for the Hall of Fame. I'm going to try to get that entire list, and then we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. I do see one person left off, and I'm very, very disappointed about it. I don't think that they definitely should not have been left off, but, well, I guess that's how it is. But we'll get to that list in a minute. Right now, the Indians had a signing today. It's not a big deal. They signed a relief pitcher, Justin Grimm. They signed him from, he was a free agent. They invited him to Major League Training Camp. He's a non-roster invitee. He's 30. He'll be in his age 30 season, as the weirdos like to say, instead of just saying he's 30 years old. He'll be 30 when the season begins. He was born in Bristol, Tennessee, August 16, 1988. He was a 5th-round draft pick in the by the Texas Rangers out of Georgia, University of Georgia. And he has spent a number of years going back and forth between the minor leagues and the major leagues. An overall career record of 20-23. He has 4 career saves. He has struck out 361 in his career, walked 154 in 356 innings. That's not terrible. He's given up almost a hit an inning, which is not good if you're a relief pitcher. So, but, sometimes these are the kind of guys you sign, and you bring 15 of these guys to training camp. If 2 of them end up being a productive part of your bullpen, you've done a good job. You got 2 more pieces, and we know the Indians need pieces to their bullpen this year coming up. So I think that it's, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a good signing. You got a non-roster invitee. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm not going to be like the media that covers the Browns and say that a non-roster invitee to the Indians training camp is going to be, wow, it's an amazing signing. I'm not going to say that. So, but you know what? It could add depth. It could work out. It might not work out. You never know. Chances of it working out are probably about 20%. But you gotta. This is what you do in baseball. You take chances with these relief pitchers and see what sticks. So the Indians signed Justin Grimm today, right-handed reliever. And he's had 7 years major league experience. I remember that bullpen in the 90s that the Indians had. There were a lot of guys that just weren't great players for other teams, but they ended up coming to the Indians, and that bullpen was really good. I think if you think about it, that bullpen was probably better than the starting pitching. So, you had Jim Poole, you had Paul Ossenmacher, you had Eric Plunk. Those guys they weren't amazingly successful there other places. Plunk had a little success, but Poole and Ossenmacher really didn't. And they came here and they were big parts of that bullpen. They mattered a lot. So don't ever tell me that signing these guys and taking chances on them, you shouldn't do it. You don't have to go out and spend $30 million on a middle reliever. Andrew Miller's, in the form the Indians got him in 2016, they don't come around that often. But so Justin Grimm, they signed him. Happens. He may make the team, he may not. We'll see. Let's move on to Kevin Love, the Kevin Love trade rumors. I'm kind of caught in the middle here. I kind of would like to see Kevin Love stay with the team until they're good again. And then when they're good, he'll get rewarded. But also in the NBA, you trade your good players when you're rebuilding. You almost have to trade every good player you have when you're rebuilding. And if they trade Kevin Love, my thought is they better get 2 number ones for this guy. I really think they should. And I think there's somebody out there that'll give him 2 number ones. I really do. So if they're going to trade him, they better get a lot for him. I'll be very, very disappointed if they don't. Kevin Love is a very good NFL player or NBA player, and they could get a lot of money for it, a lot of in return for him. Wow. Just one of those days. It's one of those days where my words, something else comes out, not what I want to say. So, bear with me today. I'm just messing up. It's one of those days. So now we're going to move on from the Kevin Love. Now we know that, I want 2 number ones for him. We're going to move on from that. We're going to spend the last 3 minutes of the sports here on the NFL Hall of Fame. Final 15 came out today. I'm a little disappointed. Well, I know I'm more than a little disappointed. I am disappointed in the fact that that Clay Matthews is not on the list. I'm just very disappointed that he's not on the list. Don't tell me that Clay Matthews is not one of the greatest linebackers of all time. Clay Matthews is one of the greatest linebackers of all time. He's probably the Browns' greatest linebacker. So no Browns linebackers are good enough to be in the Hall of Fame? Come on. That's a joke. That's a joke. And don't give me this, he played so. No. He had great years with the Browns. Okay? Clay Matthews is an NFL Hall of Famer. Okay? I see guys on this list that I don't think should be in the Hall of Fame that are in the on the final list. I don't think Edgar and James should be a Hall of Fame finalist. I don't. No, I don't think so. All right. I just don't think he should be. But I think Clay Matthews should be, and I just think that it's really unfair that Clay Matthews hasn't gotten the due that he deserves. I don't know. Are they waiting until his son retires to put them in together? I don't know. I just think that it's pretty crappy that Clay Matthews is left off the Hall of Fame ballot again. The complete list is Champ Bailey, Ed Reed, Tony Gonzalez, Edgar and James, Isaac Bruce, Ty Law, Steve Atwater, Richard Seymour, Tony Baselli, Alan Faneca, Steve Hutchinson, Kevin Mawa, Don Coryell, Tom Flores, and former Tampa Bay Buccaneer safety John Lynch. I would agree with pretty much everybody on that list except for Edgar and James. I just don't think Edgar and James is a Hall of Famer, but that's my opinion. And you know what? That's the last of my opinion for this night in sports, because we're about to head to the political and news part of the show, and we will start with that right after this. Welcome back to the second half of the Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Shirer. You can get a hold of us at lcsentinel.com on Twitter or Sports Sentinel on Twitter. Or you could follow us on Facebook at Lake County Sentinel. Or you could check out our website, www.lakecountysentinel.com. That's www.lakecountysentinel.com, SENTINEL. All right, there's a lot to get to in the political portion today. It was a big day in the United States Congress. Senate and the House and Senate were sworn in. The Senate was sworn in by Vice President Mike Pence. You know, I'm not a big Pence fan, I'm going to say, but I got to tell you something. Watching them get sworn in today, I just said to myself, Pence respects the traditions and the office he holds so much more than his boss. You know, I'm not going to say he's a good guy. I'm not, but he does respect the office and the traditions of it much more than his boss. So, you know, the Senate got sworn in today, and then the House got sworn in. They had their vote, and Nancy Pelosi received 220 votes, and she regained her House leadership post 8 years after losing it. And she is now the new Speaker of the House, and the Democratic agenda will be in full force, and we can expect a lot of investigations into Trump. And she has pretty much indicated that they are going to subpoena Trump's tax returns for the last 10 years. That should be interesting because he is hiding something there, and we all know it, or he would have submitted them by now. So it was a great moment when when Pelosi was sworn back in as, you know, Speaker of the House. She's the only woman ever to be Speaker of the House. And it's been 2 times. And it's been since the 1950s that a speaker lost their position and then regained it again. So she's a history maker, Nancy Pelosi. And I'll talk about this. You know, I posted a post on social media earlier about it. I'll read the post. Let me read the post, and then, you know, I'm going to read the post, and then it'll be easier for me to, you know, talk about it after I read my post. My post was, after the Democrats won back control of the U.S. House of Representatives in November, I wasn't sure I was in favor of Nancy Pelosi being Speaker of the House again. But then I realized that she is exactly what we need as the Speaker. She is tough, and she will fight for what's right and loves the challenge of going up against Donald Trump to make America a better place. Be ready, GOP, especially Trump supporters, because Nancy is no snowflake, And she is definitely going to make you scream for a safety pin. Welcome back, Madam Speaker. And I mean that. I mean that 100%. And I say they're going to need a safety pin because that's a popular thing with the right. They like to call Democrats snowflakes. And if we disagree with them, do you need a safety pin? Because they're such tough guys. They're so tough. But they're so tough they can't even take any criticism. That's what I find funny, is they act like they're so damn tough, but they can't take any criticism at all. How about actually being tough instead of just acting like you are, and then when a little criticism comes your way, you run away with your tail between your legs? Okay. I mean, that's what they do. That's what they do. And so that's what I think is ridiculous, is that they, they say this stuff and they think that they think they're so funny and so tough, but they're not really. You know what I mean? They're not. They're about as funny as Donald Trump, and that's not very funny. So, I think that what we have to know is that Nancy Pelosi is going to fight for the Democratic agenda. And what she's going to fight against is the stupid wall. Do we need border security? Do we need immigration reform? Yeah, we do. But simply building a wall isn't going to do it. I'm going to have a couple conservative people on I don't know if it'll be in January. It might not be until February, but I'm going to have a couple conservative people on. And what I'm going to ask them about it. I'm going to ask them about the border wall, and why do we only want a border wall in at the border of Mexico? Why don't we want a border wall at Canada? I brought this up many times. Why do we only want a border wall at Mexico? I would like, if we're going to build one, we might as well build one at Canada too, because the 911 terrorists came in there, and darn well that drugs flow through Canada too. So, but let's move on to, there were a lot of interesting things in the Congress today. We have a lot of members that are young that got sworn in today. And the youngest woman ever is 29-year-old Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Okay. She won the general election in the 14th congressional district in New York. She was elected on November 6, 2018. And she will serve her 2-year term. She is very progressive. She beat the incumbent Democrat, Joe Crowley, and it was probably the biggest upset of the midterms. She is a Democratic socialist. So we'll have to see what happens there. But the good thing is there's a different voice now, and that's what we need. Different voices. We can't have the same voice all the time. Oh, the right is all over her. The right's all over her. They've ripped her apart already and, tried to make fun of her looks, tried to make fun of how she dresses, everything they made fun of. She's made fun of they've made fun of everything about her. So it's unbelievable that they, she's different, so they rip her. That's what the right does. Anytime someone is different, they rip them apart. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is their latest target. Let's rip her apart. And, let's rip her apart and make ourselves feel better, But that's what they do. They enjoy ripping on people's looks. They enjoy ripping on people's intelligence. That's what the GOP at this point is. That's what Trump supporters are. They have no class. They act like middle schoolers or junior high people, because most of the people that are doing it, they didn't go to middle schools. They went to junior high because they're too old to have gone to middle schools. So let's move on to the final thing tonight. Bad news with the stock market. A lot of it was because of Apple, but Apple says the reason their shares are going down is because of uncertainty with China. And who is responsible for that? Donald Trump, his trade war with China. So the stock market went down today 660.02 points. It closed at 22,686. So it has now gone up 2,774 points, 0.22 points in Trump's first 2 years in office. In Obama's first 2 years in office, the stock market went up 3,755.24 points, which is approximately 1,981 points more, or 9,081 points more. So imagine that. The Obama administration had more success with the stock market than Mr. Business, Donald Trump, in their first 2 years. Unbelievable. I'm sure Obama or Trump supporters will say these are fake numbers. Of course they'll say they're fake numbers. Anything they don't agree with is fake numbers. I think we had a productive show tonight. I think we showed that the truth once again, like we always do. And what we showed is Trump supporters are hateful, and that, thank God, the Democrats are back in charge of the House. And now they can investigate Donald Trump. Have a good night, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow.